Hi, this is Phyllis Y. Whitley. Welcome to Spiritology Live. Together, we will break all the religious shackles and elevate your journey toward with a higher consciousness for a transformative self-discovery. As we breathe life into my Amazon best-selling book, Spiritology, in each episode, we will dive deep into spirituality, metaphysical, and holistic well-being, offering you the tools to master and manifest your promised land within. Let's go. Hi, everybody. Today we are on 71 episode, and this one is by Patty, who is stationed in Africa temporarily. She wanted to know about how to hear God's voice clearly and recognize his messages and signs. It is my pleasure to go ahead and give you some of my wisdom along with your wisdom. We thank you for coming in, and we are going to go straight into this. I want to start with scripture, especially for those who say, we do have those religious shackles who get on the line and they want to know, is this biblical? Well, it is. First of all, let's go to John 10:27. I am reading from the NIV, and it says, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me." Well, I'm going to tell you right there, that's probably the whole thing in a nutshell. We don't need to go anymore, but we will. I want you to remember that, because this is very crucial, because so many people wonder why they go and visit different churches, but they prefer to stay in their church. The good part about that is that particular pastor voice is not connecting to you. You understand? You can't quite hear it because that particular pastor, minister, or prophet was not ordained for you to hear their voice. Yes. You're going to hear God's voice through that particular man of God, even a priest, even in the synagogue, even for a Muslim leader. You're going to say, this is resonating with me. And unfortunately, some of us say, well, grandma went to this church and great granddaddy went to this church. And you really don't know if that voice is really for you. Do I believe that different generations might hear a different voice? Absolutely. But you have to be careful because we don't know what voice you're listening to. So, and then you know how each generation say the next generation is crazy. So they will tell you, your parents or your parent might say, no, it is crucial that you stay in here. This is a whole generational new blessing to go from family to family to family. But the bad part about that is if great granddaddy pastor is still stuck, he or she don't want to move forward, and you living in an age, especially this generation is living in an age of online technology and AI technology, you're going to be like, wait a minute, I'm lost. Or some of you will say, I'm going here. A lot of y'all will say secretly, I'm not going to tell nobody, but y'all will say, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings. And you just go and I can sit here for 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it is. So I hope that gave you some clarity. Sometimes parents, you have to let them go in a sense where they might not like your traditional pastor. They might not like the pastor that is, and the Lord said, They might not like that. They might want that quiet voice. The quiet voice like Joe Osteen, where it's more quiet or humorous. Is then you have some who might say, no, I need just the teaching. You remember how Dr. Price used to do it? It was just strict teaching. And some of them, they get really, I'm going to tell you, they hear God's voice through instruments. And the praise and worship section is so good. I have been in churches that had the best praise and worship, and then I had churches that I went in and the praise and worship was like it was hurting my ears because God can speak through you through music. A lot of people don't want to hear that. He definitely can. Now let's go to Jeremiah 33:3. Call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. This is excellent. It's an excellent scripture because God is saying to you when you call upon him, this is a special relationship with him. Okay? When you have that deep relationship with God, what happens is you can call on him from within. God, remember, he's spirit. And you should worship him in what? Truth and spirit. So all of that is within where you can't see. Okay? So now that you understand that, that unsearchable things are God is the God of universe. Everything. I had someone who had lack of knowledge. Unfortunately, she had a title and she said the universe is leading God people the wrong way because that is too broad. And I said, really? And I went to my group of people, some of them, and they said, but aren't God the God of the universe? Everything we see, we breathe, we can touch or can't touch, like the sun, the sky, the stars, that's God. So God knows everything in your past, everything that's coming in your future. Yes, he do go through the prophets. Remember them? The ones y'all scared off, but yet y'all choose to go to the psychic hotline. I am going to shut my mouth right now because I know I hurt somebody. And you know that you go to church Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you might skip Friday. And why am I saying this? Is because, yes, just because you go to church and live there doesn't mean that you hear God's voice. Some of y'all are mentally lazy, or should I say spiritually lazy, because you put everything on that particular spiritual leader. Well, he's going to hear from God. She's going to hear from God. And then you run to the altar 7 times throughout the month, crying, weeping. Don't you think that the pastor or that leader is tired of seeing you come down there? Because it does make them look kind of like, kind of shady or something. Because think of it. If you promise your child that they're going to get a bike for Christmas, and every day they come to you, and you in the month of August, and am I going to get that bike, Mom? Or you see your daughter in the room crying, and you say, what are you crying for? Every weekend you crying. Because I want a bike. And you look at her and you say, wait a minute. Hello? Christmas is coming here. I promise you that bike. Could you trust me? This is how God feel. But if you listen, if you develop that relationship, this is why you have to have your own personal relationship with God, is because you'll be able to go right to the source. I know some of y'all Christians say, well, what about the door? What about this? What about Jesus? What about the New Testament and all of that? That's still there. You understand? Yes, you do have to go through. You do have to go through Jesus. He's the mediator. But long as you know that, you can't go and have a relationship with God. Some people say, well, I have a relationship with Jesus, God. Listen, if you have a relationship with God, you have a relationship with Jesus. A lot of people get it totally confused. And God have to forgive them because they do not know what they're talking about. I don't care how many papers, how many times you went and you got ordained. So many people went and they wasn't called. And these are the religious shackles that I talk about in my book, Spiritology. They are out there. They tell you just like they did with Jesus. If you notice everything he did, they questioned it. I'm going to spend a little time teaching you as much as I can how to distinguish God voice from your thoughts. This is going to finally give you some more clarity. First of all, Have you ever felt like he had a message for you? You had a message from your higher power, which is God. Hello, some people don't understand that. He's the highest. And you just like, I know he's trying to tell me something because it's something within yourself. The psychic plane, the psychic realm says intuition, into you're intuitive, which is true. You can say more on the spiritual realm is prophetic, being prophetic. You can feel something. You know how your child, you just know something is something, you're gonna receive that phone call because something don't feel right. You ever known like when you go to work, you wake up and something don't feel right, and then you go and then you and Betty get into a argument and you say, wait a minute, or you go in and they say you fired, you turn around and say, I knew something was wrong. I knew it. You know what I'm saying? Because something inside you was speaking. If you can learn how to master that, you will be so many steps ahead of other people. Because God wants you to have a relationship with Him to a point, as Jeremiah and John I just read, to a point where it's His pleasure to go ahead and order your footsteps. How is he going to order your footsteps? You hear people saying, oh, he's ordering my footsteps. He's not ordering your footsteps because the pastor, you got up and you went to church on Easter and the pastor's telling you that. He's not ordering your footsteps to say, hey, I need you to get up every Sunday and I need you to go to church. What about all the millions of people who don't go to church on Sunday? They go to church on Saturday, 7-day Adventist. I don't know if I said that right. But how about even the Muslims? How about the Buddhas and the Hindus? What I'm trying to say to you, I feel like it's all the same God but different names. So I know that y'all gonna say, oh my goodness, blasphemy. Whatever. I know who my God is. And he comes and talks to me all the time. These are some of the things that you might want to take note of that can bring you closer to him. One of the things that you want to do is you say, how do I have a relationship with him? I'm busy. I got a family. I got kids. I don't have any privacies. Let me tell you something. If you can go to the bathroom when you have to do that special number 2 and you go sneak away and do it, that could be time for you to go and pray. Miss P, that is nasty. No, it's not. How about, okay, if you don't like that, how about when you go take your bath? If you don't make time to take your bath or go to the bathroom, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Or even when you go to the shower, if you, those of you who can sing and you blessed with the gift of singing, sing in the shower. Talk to him in the shower. Have your quiet time. It have to be some type of quiet time. Quiet your house. You know, mothers, you know it's a certain time of night you get up that only you are up. Isn't that what the virtuous woman did? Virtuous women do? I'm telling you, I record always hearing my mother up. And matter of fact, she used to do everything that you can think of with the cleaning of the household before I even got my little lazy butt up. So what I'm saying here is develop a time for him. I don't care if you say, I got 5 minutes and that's it. You're going to find out if you do that diligently, you're going to go, say, if you do it every Friday or something, you're going to continue and then you're going to start craving it. It's just like a relationship. If you start dating, ladies or gentlemen, you start craving that person. You sit on the phone and you say, I want to talk to them more. I want to talk to them more. You get to the point where you're on the phone and you wake up and you say, oh my God, I slept with the phone in my ear. That's with the old phone. But you can still do that with your cell phone. Your cell phone is in the bed with you. So that is the relationship like with God. The more you go and you sit down and make time for him, the more he'll give you time. And those of you who have a relationship with God, you know that he will make time. He will change things all around. That's what you call ordering your steps. He would change things around for you that you will have ample time for him. And that's when you go and you do this very special thing, prayer. Prayer is the key. Don't go and start begging. If you on a date and you in a dating area and you're trying to get to know that gentleman, are you going to go to him and start saying, I have bills to pay? And then you want to be the one not only talking, and I know this is strange for y'all because God is a spirit. So you do want to sometimes go in there in your quiet space, your quiet room, and you want to listen. And you might not hear anything, but I always feel that God will talk to you through nature. He will talk to you through the TV, believe it or not, a commercial. If it's something about your health, you'll look up and you'll see a commercial. And I'm not talking about these bleeding commercials that's just trying to get you to take all the pharmaceutical drugs. I'm talking about something that will remind you, oh, you know what? I have to go to my yearly checkup. And it can be something that small. It can be a song. No, it don't have to be a gospel song that literally make you say, "Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. I need to call this person." This song remind me of somebody I used to, one of my old coworkers, and we lost contact. Do you see he can talk to you that way? He can talk to you where he's telling you, look up your account. You might have just missed a payment or something, and you just hear something go, turn this on. Turn that on. So basically, he will speak to you through 7 different ways. I always say that when it's confirmed 3 times, that's it. Because you'll keep hearing it. You say, why am I keep hearing this? This is what's going on. And don't get me wrong, it can be warnings, but at the same time, God is a good God. I know y'all hear so much from your leader, like, oh, you just downright dirty sinner. No, God will talk to you. I don't care if you drunk. I don't care if you on something you ain't got nothing to be. He will talk to you during those times because he is coming to deliver you. This is where, remember, Jesus said he's your savior. So you need to be saved from some of the things that you are allowing to master your mind and life. And I tell you one thing that I used to notice. I used to watch House Hunters, and well, I still do. And when someone moved and they was into the Buddha, I said, they would say, oh, one time this lady said, oh, I want a special room, and this is my meditation room. And I looked and I was like, a meditation room, that's just like us, Christians say we're gonna go to our prayer closet. But she went to her little special room. And I'm like, how many of us have a special room? I mean, your closet. I always go into my closets because I normally when I moved, I know a lot of y'all said so many times, but anyways, none of your business. Stay out of my closet. I usually have a walk-in closet, and I make that my room. You can make a corner of your bathroom, or if you have a big bathroom, a closet that's not even big. You just push the clothes back and you put a chair in there, or you sit down on the floor if you can get back up. Okay, and that can be your space. And I said, why do people just with the Buddha? I mean, you go places and see people home, and they got that little Buddha, the big Buddha sitting up there, and it's normal. Society made that normal. And young people look at that and say, oh my God, they got a beautiful big home, and look what they got, Buddha. I don't want to follow Christianity no more because you see sister so-and-so and brother so-and-so struggling and taking the bus. Nothing wrong with taking the bus. You understand? So he's talking to you in so many different ways. You need to have that quiet time. God also said, meditate. You need to meditate day and night. That's something that you're not going to walk around and go to your desk, go to your cubicle, and just start. Duh, 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 duh. No, no, no. That's not how it is. That's something privately between you and God. That's why I am against when people go crowded down the aisle, and especially on Easter, because I always felt, and this might be me judging, God forgive me for that, but I'm gonna tell you straight up, you don't go to church but once a year, and then you go buy the best outfit, then all of a sudden everybody in church have to go back and forth to the bathroom, or they want to get online because they want everybody to see their Easter Sunday suit. That is not God. Now, I'm not saying you don't need prayer, but what I am saying to you, if you want to dress up and go to church, that's fine. But personalizing something is just like your new boyfriend or new girlfriend. You don't want to put all your business up on social media. That's a private thing. And you look forward to talking to each other privately. You don't always want to go to your man or fiance house and it's all their family and vice versa. That's the way God is. Everybody can get at a table. Everybody can go to dinner and say, oh, wait a minute, let's say our prayer. And you think you done. No, 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 no. How do you act when hell come knocking at your door? We not convinced about your God. You know why? Because you sit back and you pray at every dinner table, and then you walk around and you gossip all through the church and even at your job. You are the reality show. If anybody want to know anything, they need to go find you. That's not God. Or should I say that's not of God? That's not setting an example. When Jesus came here, he set an example of how you supposed to act. Jesus was your highest brother, trying to tell you this is the way you need to do. He spent more time on the spiritual side of himself. And that's why the religious shackles couldn't hear him. At one point, he said they are doing what their father do, and that's the devil. And they was pissed. So you understand, you have to have a relationship with him. The meditation can be affirmation. You can set aside 10 minutes. I think Napoleon Hill, he used to set aside 3 hours for God. Look at him. He died as a millionaire mystic. How many people he led taught with God? You need to go listen to him. And look him up on YouTube. Not only did he do that, his book to this day, people are going back, businesses, companies, and listening to what he said. Think and Grow Rich. Yes. It's a lot of the mystics. It's sad that we can say the mystics led us, but not the pastors. So when you set an example the right way, your neighbors don't have to go get a voodoo doll, a Buddha. And I'm not going against them because that's those people that's what, I'm here. I welcome all religion. But my foundation is the Lord and Jesus Christ. Yes. And you want to hear that voice, but you don't need an object. Remember the Israelite? They worship everything that they made. If you made it with your hands, it is not God. So your connection, your spiritual connection with God is your relationship. And when you make time and you make that space and you make that space quiet and you make everything around you peaceful, you can start hearing his voice. What did I say? It'll probably be confirmed 3 times. It can be through nature. Believe it or not, it can be it can be through the drunk down the street. You will be surprised how God can get your attention. I remember also being in the club when I was hanging in the club and I knew God was calling me. And I was like, honey, I'm going to go out here because I love to dance. And I kid you not, every man that sat down, maybe about 3, that sat down and talked to me during that time I was at this club, I was like, well, what's wrong? Each one of them was talking about, I have a call on my life. Somebody else sat down and was like, God, so and so is good. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. And I even say, God, you really trying to be funny. See, because that's our relationship. See, you don't want a relationship if you're a man and you're looking for a female. He don't want you to be all tied up. The woman don't want the man to be all tight. It's humor there. God is going to meet you according to your personality. God is not going to meet you like King James Version. He's not going to do that. He's going to come to you according to who you are. Because he don't want to scare you. I know a lot of people talk about, I hear from God, and God this. No, you don't, because if you heard from God, you'd be running out the church so fast you wouldn't know what hit you. I'm trying to tell you, listen, I hope that you got something out of this. If you go and start visualization, affirmation, meditation, and I'm telling you, and you put some prayer all around it like the cover, and you make time for God, he will make sure that you have more time each day. If you can get up and go to church and sit there, hello, Christians, for 3 to 4 hours, don't tell me you don't have time for God. Well, Miss P, that's fellowship. Yes, that is fellowship. But how would your new fiance, new man, or even your husband. How many females lost their husbands because they was literally sitting up in the church all day helping and feeding the pastor? I remember the late Miles Monroe said, one of the ladies said her husband would never walk into a church, and he was having some kind of special stuff, and she was always there doing what she needed to do. And he told her one day, go home. Don't quote me on this. I believe he said something about go home, go to your husband. And he started telling her that, and the husband was like, what? Basically, the husband had to come see what man did that, because I remember, even though in my generation, the people in the church, the women of the church, the sister of the church, the mothers of the church was cooking in the kitchen, cooking for the pastor, staying after the service and whatever they had. And it's like the husband didn't want to, especially the ones who didn't have a saved husband. So they was the ones you recognize them today because they are the ones that's falling out in front of the altar. So with that being said, you can have a relationship with God if you take the time like you would in any other relationships. If you listen to his voice. And a lot of times, when you first started dating, you didn't have to do anything but sit there and listen. The fact that you was in their presence meant a lot. And the fact that you were in God's presence mean a lot. Hearing his voice, let's recap, through nature. It'll be through the TV. It can be through another person. I like to say at least 3 times confirmation. And then eventually, when you develop that relationship with God, you will hear him. And listen, I have nothing against people who go to church. I go to church when I want to. But I can rather at this point sit up in my home and I can turn on any channel around the world. That's the good news, or the gospel, spread it around the world. If you sit there and you listen, sometimes you know how you change the channel if you're listening to a sermon? You might be surprised that you might have asked God something last week or the other day, and then to turn on and listen to a particular pastor or run across a particular prophet, evangelist, they might be teaching or preaching the answer to the question that you had for God. So yes, it can come from that church. I know many times I went to church that morning and I said, did the pastor, was he in my closet? Because everything he was preaching was some of the things that I was saying to God, or some of the things that I was going through. So yes, it is many ways you can hear God's voice, but I would definitely say develop a relationship with God and you will be surprised, because it's just like the more you stay around your boyfriend, the more the men stay around their girlfriend, or even your, if it's your fiance or you're married, that's going to be a beautiful relationship. It's the reason why people divorce, because they don't take the time for each other. They don't spend any time with each other. That's the reason. You don't know a person until you really sit down and spend time with them. And that's what God is asking you to do. So if you need help in this, you can go to my link tree, go to my website. You can contact me and you will get a free 15 minutes or more prophetic preview, self-care, discovery call, whatever you want to call it. And just mention this particular episode, and I'll be more than happy to further tell you some secrets about knowing who God is. So we just thank you. And before I go, tell me how you, in the comments, how do you sustain your relationship with God? What do you do? Thank you so much. Now, you know we are about to close. I just wanted to know, by now you got your book. And if you don't, share this podcast with other people that I don't know who you know. And we are going to believe that you ordered the book, Spiritology. Yes, you can find it on my website, selfwhisper.com. What's new? I'm getting ready to get into another book. But right now, we are all in the movement of Blackology. Black and brown females, stand up, use your voice of love. Let them know I am here, I've been here, and I'm coming back. Remember, if loving yourself is right, you don't want to be wrong.